All right, hello and welcome back to the Silver Pen, a Cardinal and Cream podcast. Today, most days I am Jonathan, and this is my co-host today. Say hello.
Hello, I'm Darby.
And today we are going to be talking about the new show on Amazon Prime. Amazon?
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, Company Retreat. So this is kind of like a sequel to a show that they came out with a couple of years ago called Jury Duty, which is probably more what we're going to be talking about today and kind of what we expect out of Company Retreat.
Yeah.
But we're going to kind of give you the rundown, what we're expecting out of this new one, because as we'll talk about, it is a very kind of unique show, which is going to be super exciting. So Darby, do you want to talk about kind of like what Jury Duty was, I guess?
Yeah, so Jury Duty was kind of the premise of you take one guy and put him in a mockumentary, and it's all actors, everything's fake, and he is on a jury. So he is under the impression that they're filming a documentary about the judicial system and how that works and how being on a jury would work. And in reality, they're just doing a bunch of random, silly, goofy things to get his reactions and see how he would behave in these scenarios. There's some very interesting people that are included in this cast, and he thinks everyone is being 100% real the whole time, and it's all fake. It's all, an act.
Right. It's kind of like a very interesting cross-section of like social experiment and like
sitcom
workplace comedy.
Yeah, it's like a little bit sitcom, but a lot of just like, okay, let's throw this guy in a random scenario and see what happens.
Right, for sure. And so because of that, and because it's a lot of just like, it's obviously everybody is an actor except for, they call him the hero. His name is Ronald.
Yeah.
They just kind of throw him into a bunch of just like goofy scenarios. I was going back and thinking about it, and basically what happens is, so he thinks he's getting called in for this documentary about jury duty. He gets selected. One thing to note, we should probably talk about like James Marsden and stuff like that.
So James Marsden, he's like a producer of the show,
right?
And so he is included in the first season as one of the members that is, randomly selected to be on this jury. And so Ronald is like, no way you're here. Like, why am I on a jury duty with James Marsden? Like, this is insane.
Right.
But he's, obviously he's involved in the production of the show. So he's coming in to make sure things are running smoothly. At least in my opinion, I think that's why he was included.
He plays like a kind of like a narcissistic version of himself. And kind of like, I think part of the reason he was included too is just to give somebody for Ronald to kind of like buddy up with and kind of help walk him through, because obviously it's like, it's scripted, but it's not scripted.
Yeah, it's like kind of improv at times, but at times it's not, because they have to go based on Ronald's reactions to things. They can't just go fully on script because you don't know what he's going to do in these scenarios.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I went back and watched the last episode last night where they kind of like explain like, okay, here's how we did it and stuff like that. And they would have like production meetings and stuff like that where they would say, okay, this is kind of the plan for today, and here's what's going to happen, but we need to have a plan. So like, okay, if we can't get Ronald to go upstairs, here's how we get him. Like, Lonnie, we need you to be like, hey man, like we should go upstairs. And then it's really funny. Ronald is like, it says we're not supposed to go upstairs. So they have to they told somebody like, okay, hey, we need you to come down from upstairs so that he knows it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to go upstairs. So there's a lot of funny things like that from the original Jury Duty. Obviously we'll get back into Company Retreat here in a minute. Were there any kind of like specific moments like that like really stuck out to you as like, oh, like that's funny, or like how'd they pull that off kind of thing?
Yeah, I thought one thing that I remember, I obviously I watched it when it first came out. That's been like
it was like 2023 or something like that.
Yeah, this is like 3 years ago. I have not seen it since. But one thing that I remember is like the hotel, and he's like has an adjoining room with someone. I don't remember who it was, but I just remember that guy was like a little bit weird and kept knocking on the door and like coming in and out of Ronald's room, and Ronald was just kind of trying to be nice about it and be like, oh, hey dude, like what's up, what do you need? But I remember that distinctively. Like,
yeah, that's a really funny part of the show, because obviously they made all these characters just kind of like slightly off-putting as a way to kind of keep the like television interesting, but then also like see how Ronald reacts to certain situations and stuff like that. And that character, his name is Todd. He's just like this little kind of like short guy. He's fascinated with like cybernetics as replacements to like human body parts.
Yeah,
and stuff
he was
like
a little bit weird, I remember.
Yeah, just like kind of like quirky, like just like kind of what is going on. He carries around one of those like hiking water bladders so that he can like drink all the time. It's like having a water fountain on my back and stuff like that. But I remember they said that they specifically put him next to Ronald as a way to just kind of like just keep Ronald on edge and stuff like that. And Ronald was like so nice and sympathetic, like let him in his room and stuff like that. Was really funny. One thing that stuck out to me, there's that joke about how, so initially they're all sitting in the kind of like the waiting room, just trying to see, like filling out their paperwork and stuff before they get called into the initial jury. And they're talking about like how do we get out of this? Like what are ways that people
they're like, oh, I actually hate everyone. I refuse to be on this jury because I'm a racist. Or, you know, like they would say like the most random things of, you know, absolutely insane scenarios of, I don't want to do this. What can I do to get out of it?
And that specific, that one of the guys they talked beforehand. They were like, oh, we should try and bring up, the actors talked beforehand. They were like, we should try and bring up that scene from Family Guy where they're like, I'm a racist, don't put me on the jury. But they decided not to go with it or whatever. But then Ronald brought it up in the waiting room by himself. And so you can see going back, like them talking, that like the expression on the actors' faces as they're like trying to keep it under control. And then oh my gosh, he brought this up. We weren't even planning on it.
Well, now we have to run with it.
Now we have to run with it.
You know, they wanted to in the beginning, and then they chose not to.
Right,
so
for sure.
It's like the perfect opportunity for them.
And it kind of it speaks to, I think, one of the challenges of a show like this. Like, we'll talk about the challenges on Ronald's side in a minute, but also the challenges for the actors of like, this is like improv for 3 weeks of just like, okay, here's like kind of the plan, kind of what we want to happen, but also at the end of the day, you got to go and figure this out. And like I watched one of the actors talk about it afterwards. He's like, it was so nerve-wracking the whole time because you're just afraid that at some point he's going to be like, oh, you know what? This is kind of weird. This is you're an actor. This whole thing is fake, and just and
like
just,
he's gonna just blow it all
the
up.
entire thing is ruined and stuff like that. But I really think that is an interesting challenge about a show like that.
Yeah, they have to like really make sure. Well, first of all, I think you have to make sure the actors are people that no one knows who they are. Because if I walked into this scenario on jury duty or in company retreat and I recognized one person, it's over. They have to recast or get rid of me and like find someone else to take my spot. So it's like they have to be complete nobodies. And then James Marsden, of course, but you know, that one was easier to pull off.
Right. So, you can pull off one like that, but the minute somebody isn't supposed to be recognized and is recognized, you're cooked at that point.
It's over.
That reminds me of, there was another time during the show where the bailiff, Nikki, there was just a random like bag on the ground, and so she went and grabbed it. She was like, "Hey, is this like Cassandra's bag or whatever?" And Ronald was like, "What are you talking? We don't have a Cassandra.
Yeah,
like,
who
is that?" And she'd accidentally referred to one of the characters as the actor's name.
Yeah.
And so then they were like trying to like do cover up and stuff like that. And so they had like somebody come in like the next day, and Nikki just went over and had a conversation to her and called her Cassandra, like very loudly.
Hey, Cassandra, what's up?
Yeah. It's just super funny.
It's like any tiny mistake like that, there has to be so much like to go over it. Like you have to bandage that quick, otherwise it's done.
Right, you're cooked. Yeah. I think that those challenges on the acting, like production side of it are really interesting, but then also like afterwards, like I just think about like, what if that happened to me? Like, what if I lived 3 weeks of my life, all this crazy stuff happened, and they were like, hey, actually, this is all fake. This is a fake trial. Yeah, this is pranked. You thought you were being in a documentary about you, or about the jury system, but instead we just made this TV show about you. Here's $100,000 to go along with it, but also like, this whole thing was fake. I just think it would be crazy.
This is gonna unculture me, but never seen the Truman Show, but like that's the concept of it. You know, it's like
same,
your reality is not real, and it's for weeks of your life. And I think for jury duty kind of seems, I've never been on the jury before, but I think it would be fun. But it seems like that's kind of a not real experience to begin with, especially if you're sequestered and all that. Like that seems like a kind of unreal experience. So I think it might have been easier for Ronald to like get back into real life and go, okay, over with, whatever. In this scenario, like Anthony's working for a fake company, and he's hired, like this is his job. I think that would affect me more in this season specifically. Like it's rocking grandma's hot sauce. He's hired as a temp. He's going on a company retreat with them. He's like involved in all of these like crazy scenarios because of course they have to make it good for TV. But like your CEO is quitting. It's getting taken over. There's like the threat of getting bought out by some other company, and then after the show, they're like, oh, hey, you're actually unemployed again. Joke's on you. But here's $100,000.
Right.
It's like, I think that would mess with my head way more than just being on a jury.
And like, yeah, that's a really good point, because the like you said, the jury thing is so almost like it feels not real. Like especially once I can't remember if we said like they sequestered the jury, which is like where they say, okay, like you guys you don't have your phones, you can't leave.
You can't talk to anyone except for the people here in your little bubble.
Yeah, which is another, I think, really fun thing that we can talk about too. Like, because I think it's the equal parts social experiment and like workplace comedy. Also, like, came in with some very interesting lessons on, like, I felt like technology and stuff like that, where like you throw, 14 random people together for 3 weeks and no phones, and like Ronald still
friends with each other.
Yeah, like Ronald still keeps up with these people like today and stuff like that. And so I think that is just like super interesting, and kind of I think it would be fun to do something like that, but I wouldn't want to be on the show.
No, I wouldn't want to be involved, but like it would be fun for other people to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think a thought that I had was like the casting process of like they had to do a bunch to pick out Ronald for the original, but then everyone loved him. Everyone thought this is the greatest guy ever. And so I like tried to do some research on how that went down, and it was basically like a Craigslist ad, and then he responded, and then they did interviews with him and his family and all this before they chose him. And I think the casting process for Company Retreat is probably easier since it's a job interview, and it seems a lot more legit than like just meeting with random people because you responded to a Craigslist ad. But I then think that makes it a little bit easier to like pick out the right person. And then I noticed in one thing I read, I was like, they're trying to pick out somebody like Ronald. They specifically stated like they wanted another person just like that, because they were like, this is what made the show so great.
That's what made the show work. Because if you don't like they in all their like production and stuff like that, they call him the hero, because like that's what you want him to be. Like you want to like learn great things about his character and stuff like that. Because if you don't have like a hero, like if the protagonist isn't likable, then it just kind of becomes a prank show. Where like while it might still be funny to watch, it's arguably less ethical. At that
it's
point.
like, I guess there's certain subsections of audience members that would go, well, this guy's the worst. I'm not watching anymore. Like I'm so sick of him. He's a jerk all the time. Or he's so mean to Todd. I'm never watching this again because Todd's just a little guy and he's a weirdo, but like a lovable weirdo. So you have to be nice to him. And instead, if you're a jerk to him, then people might get turned off by that and not want to watch.
For sure. Yeah, I'm super interested to see how in Company Retreat, like if there are going to be those kinds of like similarities, like okay, these people are going to be weird on purpose to just kind of like throw them off, or if it's going to be kind of more like the challenge of like, okay, like we all work at the same job, we're trying to get to know each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such an interesting dynamic, especially because every workplace, even ones that are real and not fully scripted and actors, there's at least one coworker that's a little bit hard to get along with, and there's at least one coworker that's a little bit strange, and then there's this one guy that's like way older than everybody, or the guy that's way younger than everybody, and it's just like a strange dynamic. And so I think you can bring some of that in, and it's like the built-in conflict, and you don't have to make the people necessarily as insane.
Right.
I think they will, because it's funnier that way, but you don't have to do as much in the scenario.
And that's super interesting to think about too, because as weird as the situations are, they are normal life experiences.
Right.
Like at some point, I'm going to get called in for jury duty. I work a job. I have coworkers that I don't like sometimes. And so like being able to look at the protagonists and say like, oh, wow, like look at how they handled that. They didn't think anybody was watching them, like that kind of thing. I think it's really like convicting for me. Like obviously, I'm at least 75% sure that my life is real.
Right.
But I like you never know when like somebody's going to be watching, and so you want to make sure that you're reflecting the Lord in that way. And obviously, it's different for us as Christians, but it's just interesting to think about.
Yeah, and I think like you brought that up of like you're reflecting God, right? And you're reflecting His image, and like you are a product of His creation, and like as a Christian, you are held to a higher standard than other people. If I went on a show like this and didn't know, and then I was the worst person ever, and I'm a Christian the whole time I'm on the show, but then I acted absolutely horribly to everyone, it just really like devalues everything that we stand for.
Yeah, for sure. That's super fascinating. Did you have any things that you were kind of thinking about as Company Retreat or jury duty or anything like that?
Yeah, another thing I thought of was like, obviously they have to have pre-existing workplace dynamics between these actors, because Anthony's coming in as the new guy, right? He has no idea who any of these people are, but they aren't all new hires. They have to have backstories and relationships with each other in the office. And, you know, these two people have beef over something random. And then this guy's best friends with this other dude because, you know, they both like pickleball or like, you know, something random. Like you have to have those like connections and things like that in order for it to feel realistic.
That's
you can't
fascinating.
just bring this guy in and have everyone also be new. It doesn't work.
That's I think going to be one of the, I think there's a lot of ways in which kind of the workplace, like the workplace dynamic makes it easier for those things like we talked about, like those connections, but also I think makes it harder on the actors in some ways because you, like you said, you like, what if I've worked with this guy for 20 years? Like we have to be able to portray that to somebody who's coming in thinking they're working a new job. Like, okay, is this something that I'm making major life choices, that kind of thing. I saw the guy that they chose for Anthony for Company Retreat is from Nashville, and so I like he's moving for this thing, which is just also I think really gets into some like interesting ethical consequences about a situation like this.
Moving his life and it's not real. That's just that's crazy to me because I would be like now thinking, okay, could this happen to me? What if I get a job and it's not real and I move for it? Like that's so scary.
Yeah, and like I feel like I want to say that I could be put in that position and be able to tell that, like, oh, this is fake.
Yeah, like you would pick up on it, but probably
not. Yeah. That was a point that the producers made after Jury Duty. Like, most people are not narcissistic enough to say, okay, this isn't real. This is just something that revolves around me.
Yeah.
Like, that you want to believe the reality in front of you because that's what you're used to doing.
Yeah.
And so it just plays with my brain of like I said, like I'm pretty sure my life is real.
But what if
But also, like, what if somebody's right behind that door that's like, all right, here's your $100,000.
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks for coming to school. Like this was all a prank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It just that that would weird me out so much.
I agree.
I'm very happy that my life is real. Probably.
Yeah. What else kind of stuck out to you, or like, are you interested to see in between Jury Duty and Company Retreat and that kind of thing?
Yeah. I'm super interested to see like obviously what scenarios happen in this one. Like I think in the trailer they said they have like a talent show and like all this random stuff that it's like obviously it's for team bonding and all this stuff, which those kinds of things tend to be a little over the top anyway.
Right.
So how much more is it going to be because it's for TV? You know, how much more over the top than it normally would be? I'm very interested to see what people are doing because I'm very fascinated with how the human mind works and like when you put people in a random scenario, what's going on. It's part of why like I enjoy Survivor and like TV shows like that because you're putting people in a not normal environment and they're interacting with new people and you kind of see what their thought process is and how they work. And I feel like you're doing it to a greater scale in this, right?
Yeah.
Because only one person doesn't know what's going on. And then you end up with this crazy scenario of like, okay, if somebody does something absolutely insane on this talent show, then how would I respond to this? If this was me, how would I respond? Or, okay, this guy's a way better person than me. He responded way better. You know, like those kinds of thoughts. I always kind of picture myself in their position, I think.
I also think it's interesting too because it kind of speaks to like the like framework that like a lot of how we act is affected by the people around us.
Yeah, it's very situational.
And so like they can mostly guide this this guy Anthony like through scripted events because they're all on the same page. They all know what's happening, but he doesn't know that, you know? And so it just, I feel like kind of speaks to how dependent we are on other people as a like dictator of our habits and stuff like that, which is super interesting. Because then you think like, oh, like so like I'm on the cross country team. Like most of what I do at practice is dictated by the people around me. Like if my coach doesn't tell me, all right, like here's the plan for today. If I don't say, okay, here are the people that I'm running with, then I'm kind of just rogue, just chilling, you know. But because of those people in those situations, a lot of my choices are still choices, but are kind of like almost like
they're
set before me.
Yeah, they're influenced heavily by your like situation.
Right.
It's like there's a framework of here's what you should probably be doing, and you kind of just go along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I looked at the company. Is it a real company that he's working for?
I think they had to make it like legit. They had to like register it, have real locations, and even for the company, like mentioned in the trailer that they're getting like possibly bought out by another company, that has to be real too.
Right.
Because if I'm getting hired for a job, I'm going to do research on it, right? I'm going to look it up, especially if I'm moving. This guy's from Nashville and he's moving for this job. If I'm moving, I'm going to make sure that this is real. Like, this is legit, that I actually want to be working here, you know? And so I think they had to like register these locations as real spots for these companies. Like on Google Maps, if you look it up, it's a real location. This is a real company. It has a website, everything.
Yeah, so I looked it up. Rockin' Grandma's Hot Sauce has an Instagram.
Yeah.
3.9 thousand followers. It'll knock your socks off. We got an Amazon ad, Rockin' Grandma's Smoky Sauce by Dave's Gourmet. This is Rockin' Grandma's Original Hot Sauce wins Firebrand Award. That's from August 10th, 2024.
Yeah, so they've been working on this for a long time. Like, setting up, I guess, like, all of the foundations for it.
Yeah, this is from rockingrandmashotsauce.com. This is August 5th, 2015. In a small bowl whisked together, honey, Rockin' Grandma. This was a recipe.
Yeah.
So it looks like it might actually be a company.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's ways you could get like a post for 2015. Like, you could change the date on when something was posted or like published or whatever. Or they bought it from someone else that already had this company that like went under, and then they bought it out from them or something. But yeah, like they have to make this real in order for Anthony to, you know, quote unquote, fall for it.
Okay, yeah. So this is a newspaper. Looks like Milford, Upton, and Mendon. This is from August 3rd, 2024. Next generation takes the helm of Rockin' Grandma's Hot Sauce. Canoga Park's Rockin' Grandma's Hot Sauce founder Doug Womack retires and passes the torch to his son, Doug Womack Jr., which is like the premise of,
the premise
the show.
Of the show.
So they must have... I'm going to be interested to see. It's hard for me to tell right now, like, if this is an actual company that they're just kind of piggybacking off of, or if this is something that they, like, set up. Yeah, Dougie Jr.
Dougie Jr.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I loved, like, from watching the trailer, I loved seeing, like, how Dougie Jr. seems, like, completely incompetent. Like, he doesn't know anything. And I think that makes it so much funnier because if you're committed to this company and your new CEO is about to be just, like, a complete goof, like, you know, now you're thinking, oh, do I need to like quit my job, find a new job? They really start considering, I guess, like the buyout and things like that because they're going, uh-oh, this guy does not know what he's doing. I think that's going to make for such an interesting dynamic. Yeah,
I'm really, really excited. I didn't see the trailer, but I'm really excited about watching this.
Yeah, I watched the trailer because I was like, I can't watch the show yet, so let me see what's up. I thought something that was super interesting from the trailer that I was going to bring up anyway was just. There's a part in it, obviously they're editing together random clips from the whole season to you know, make the interesting parts stand out.
Yeah.
But there's a part where he says something about like, I almost feel like I'm on a TV show because this cannot be real. And then he goes, no, that would never happen. Like, that's so silly. And I was like, that's so funny because obviously the thought crossed his mind enough for him to say it and say, oh, this would be hilarious if it was a show.
Yeah.
You know, he obviously thought about it just a little bit. So do you think he had like a real inkling that this could not be real, or do you think he was like completely in the dark?
I don't know, like, because to me that if I was gonna say something like that, but like that's just kind of like hyperbole.
Yeah,
like, oh my
gosh,
like jokes. This is crazy. Like, this feels like a TV show, that kind of thing. Because Ronald did the exact same thing in Jury Duty. He made that comment of like, this is like a reality TV show.
Yeah.
And they were like, it is. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, especially, I guess you said at the beginning, they made sure that Anthony hadn't watched Jury Duty, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, like, you have to pick someone who has no idea what's going on. But what if he was, like, lying? You know, what if he was like, oh, I know this is a show and I want to be on it? You know, like, what if that was kind of a scenario that happened?
Yeah, that's super interesting because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I remember for Jury Duty, they had 2,500 people apply for this thing that they sorted through, which is a lot of people.
Right.
And I think you can kind of get a picture of like, I mean, I'm sure it's part of the interview process, like what kind of TV do you consume? Do you have any like favorite shows, that kind of thing? And so I feel like that's something you'd be able to screen through and then also like get an understanding of like, okay, this is the kind of TV that this person watches. And here is a thing that, so we can probably infer that they haven't seen this show. But like, I think like if it was me, like if they were like, okay, like what are your favorite TV shows, that kind of thing. Like I enjoyed Jury Duty, but off the top of my head, it's like not my favorite TV show. But
anytime I get asked a question like that, I forget everything I've ever watched.
Exactly.
And they're like, so what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, and then I have no answer, right? And so like if it's that kind of scenario, then that wouldn't ever come to mind, I guess. But I don't know if they're just like
maybe that would immediately like discount you from
maybe they would say, oh, since you can't think of anything, then you're out.
Right, like how we can't be sure. I remember there's an actor in the first Jury Duty who, when I watched it, I didn't know who she was, but then whenever I've gone back and watched it, like I've seen her in things since then, and so I'm like, well, like I don't think that I would have known. Like obviously I didn't know who she was when I watched it the first time around, so like Ronald didn't either, I'm sure, and a lot of because they picked kind of less known actors and stuff like that. They've gotten their start through Jury Duty and gone on since then. But like it's that same thing. Like what if like I kind of recognize that person from something?
As I guess if they're in a movie or a show you've seen, even if they're like a background character, someone that with one line in one episode, you would still pick up on that if it's your favorite thing ever, right?
Exactly.
So I guess it's an important question to ask. Like, what type of stuff do you like to watch? What shows do you regularly watch? Things like that. Because then, okay, if this guy's, the cash register at a gas station in my favorite show, I might recognize him.
Maybe, you know? There was a time in the original Jury Duty where they realized as the court was going on, like in the taping of the show, that Ronald had potentially seen something with one of the actors in it. Yeah. And they kind of told that actor like, hey, you gotta like back off a little bit, like you were originally planned to kind of have this like bigger part, but now you've kind of got to like stay in the shadows a little bit.
Now like your initial role is kind of getting shifted to background, and someone else is going to take over this thing you were supposed to be doing.
Just kind of like keep your head down, that kind of thing, because we can't blow this, because again it's the last thing you want as that actor is oh dude, you're an actor, this is fake, this isn't real.
Especially if it's like the first day of filming and this guy walks in and goes, oh, I know you. That's hilarious, But if it's like the end of the show, that's so much money down the drain. You have to restart the whole process if it blows up at the end,
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Which, like, that made me think about, I think Jury Duty, they had picked other people and then they recognized someone or something like that. I feel like I read that somewhere.
I think so,
So they started the process and said, okay, this isn't going to work. We got to go back to square one, pick a new person. I wonder if that was the same case with Company Retreat. If they initially picked someone, they came up to set, they were starting the fake documentary filming, and they recognized someone. They said, okay, we got to start over because this isn't going to work.
Yeah. I think that because, I mean, hypothetically, this is their second time around, so they should hopefully be better
they would be better at
picking, but also, like, people are unpredictable, so you just never really know, which is, just fascinating. Yeah. And the way they, like, come up with, workarounds. Like, I remember Ronald was supposed to meet certain people in the waiting room, so they purposely orchestrated 4 seats being open. Like, okay, he has to sit in one of these 4 seats.
Yeah, and then they're gonna sit in the other 3.
Right. Yeah. And then it happens. So obviously there are workarounds for those types of things, but yeah, that's super interesting to think about. And just like you have to be so alert all the time. Yeah. Even as just like a behind the scenes producer kind of person, like just like watching and just like it feels like you've got to be one step ahead. And that's the thing that they talked about in Jury Duty. Like, Ronald was so invested in the case that they had to, like, kind of work ahead of him in order so that they would have information as he discovered it. Like, we didn't think that he was going to be as involved in this case as he was.
Yeah, he got super into it, so then it made their jobs a little bit harder, honestly.
Yeah, they have to come up with, like, more just, like, background stories for things that happened.
Yeah.
And so you have to be, and I'm not in that world at all. Like, I'm not an actor. I'm not in the film area at all, but, like, that seems so challenging to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's like improv. Like,
yeah. I know with like any regular show or movie that they're doing where it's, fully on script, everyone knows what's going on. They do have to like troubleshoot and make sure they have plans for when things go wrong or whatever. In this scenario, they have so much more they have to consider. So many more things that could go wrong, and I feel like that makes that job so much harder for
sure.
Everyone involved in production and all of it.
Yeah. We got time for like one more thing probably. Do you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
Let's see. I don't know. I think I talked about most of everything in here.
Yeah, I agree. So Company Retreat comes out March 20th on Amazon Video. Make sure you guys go and watch. I'm going to be watching for sure.
Definitely.
I'm super excited about it.
For it.
But we will catch you guys later.
Yeah.
See ya.